Hey, what's good guys? This is Chris from WearTesters.com. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel, the only sneaker channel here on YouTube where you come for the review and stay for the conversation. Today we're dusting off something pretty old here. This is an old .5 series. This is in retrospect. We're going to talk about the .5 series overall. And this guy right here is the Jordan 16.5. Now, for those of you guys that are unaware of the .5 series, it was essentially a series of performance-based sneakers that took design elements from the sneaker before it and the sneaker after it within the legacy line of the Air Jordan, so 1 through 23, or if you're gonna go all the way up to now, 1 through 33. And they kind of blended everything together. There were some other hybrids or mix-ups, but they were not considered the .5 series. We're just gonna be talking about the .5s right here. And I actually forgot like a lot of them, so I'm just going to quickly like Google search everything, and we're just gonna talk about the previous ones real quick, kind of go back through memory lane and all that stuff. So there was the Air Jordan 1.5, which was fairly recent. That was an actual PE that ended up releasing, and they just called it the 1.5. That shoe was not originally called the 1.5 back in it was like 86 or 87. The shoe itself, they were testing the tooling for the Air Jordan 2 on the Air Jordan 1 build. And on top of that, that was right after MJ came back from his foot fracture. So he needed more cushion than what the actual Air Jordan 1 offered, because those things were pretty much on the floor. And so that's where that 1.5 kind of came from. But again, there was never really a real name attached to it. It's just that when they released it, they called it the 1.5. I don't personally consider it a 1.5, even though technically it kind of is. And then you have the Air Jordan 2.5, a shoe that I completely forgot about, and rightfully so. These things are butt-ass ugly, and I'm like kind of shocked. This is a shoe, I think Ray Allen used to wear these on court. Again, the .5 series, this is an actual performance-based series, and this is within the last 10 years of performance. And this shoe just looks hella clunky, dude. Like, it's just, this thing is that's a trip to look at. And then this guy right here is the Jordan 5.5, also known as, or rightfully known as, the Jordan Mellow 5.5. This was actually the very first of the .5 series released to the public, and it was Mellow's signature sneaker. However, a lot of it was inspired by the Air Jordan 5, and then I don't really see a lot of Air Jordan 6 in there, but it is a .5, so we're gonna throw it in there. And then there was the Jordan 9.5, much like the Mellow 5.5. There's not a lot of Air Jordan 10 within the 9.5 model. It really looks like a reimagined Air Jordan 9, and I also believe Ray Allen wore these as well. Ray Allen's been with Jordan brand for a very long time. Man, he's been with the brand since I was in high school, dude. He's been with the brand forever, almost since its inception. And then there was the Jordan 12.5. That is one of my favorites. I actually own the white and black colorway. Them were dope. But those guys right there were an awesome sneaker to play in. Those had heel and forefoot Zoom Air. They were super comfortable. The traction on them was amazing. The materials were great at the time as well. The price was right. The .5 series is kind of underrated, just to put that out there. Then there is the Jordan Flight Time 14.5. This is another recent release. I believe that those had forefoot Zoom Air and heel lunar. I could be wrong about that. I can't remember exactly. And much like the previous models of the .5 series, this model looks more like the Air Jordan 14, or takes more design elements from the Air Jordan 14 than it does from the Air Jordan 15. And then you get into these guys right here, the 16.5. Just to let you guys know, there was a Air Jordan 18.5 when the original Air Jordan 18s released. Again, that was another mellow shoe, but it was not a real .5 because there was not even a Jordan 19 at that time. But anyways, these guys right here are the Air Jordan 16.5. I really liked these at the time. They're very bulky. They're very like early 2000s. So these guys right here were supposed to be a perfect blend between the Air Jordan 16 and the Air Jordan 17. The 17s are featured right here on the outsole. It's got that very similar traction pattern to the Jordan 17, where they had a golf course inspired kind of like traction pattern, which is what these guys are. You got the green and the rough. And the traction itself worked pretty well. It wasn't great or anything like that, especially on the lateral side, but overall it was good. And then the tooling was very similar to the 17s as well as the 16s, which was really interesting. So this area right here is more like the 17, this red casing, but then underneath it, where you see those little pillars and the visible air unit underneath that, was just like the Air Jordan 16. And then you have the braille right back there. Hopefully you guys can see that. And that was from the Jordan 17 as well. You had a Phylon midsole, and then the forefoot Zoom Air unit. So you had forefoot Zoom and heel air units. And then the upper, again, very similar to the Jordan 16. There's very little Air Jordan 17 within the upper itself. It almost looks like it's kind of like a tweaked 16 in general, which again, I'm not mad at or anything like that. You've got like the quilted look right here that was from the Gator, as well as the overall Gator look. And this whole thing on the original 16 was removable. However, the lacing system is directly from the Air Jordan 17, where there are dual sets of lacing. So if you wanted to get a tighter fit, you can always go down to that secondary row right there. The toe box is kind of squared, just like both models. And then you have that patent leather toe cap. Again, like the 16, I thought that this looked way better than the 16s. The 16s was very just straight and it looked kind of weird. This guy right here looks a little bit more refined, a little bit cleaner. And then you have this little rear tab right there. That was from the Air Jordan 17 as well. The 17 had something very similar to that on that shoe. Inside of the actual shoe, along with the lacing system, they added this additional nylon strap right here where you can lace your sneakers up and really get that real, you know, lockdown feel in the heel and rear section of the shoe. Very, very simple, but very, very effective. And we don't see that anymore at all. And I wish that we did. Now, these guys originally released right around 2009. So right when I was starting on YouTube. So it's been a while since they've, you know, come out and all that stuff. They came out in a slew of different colorways. Again, it was a solid performer, taken, you know, inspiration directly from the Legacy line, which is the flagship model. So the 16 and the 17. And I just think that it's cool. They got nice materials. They're clunky or chunky looking. And I just think that these are really, really dope. One of my favorite parts about the shoe itself is actually not the shoe itself. It's inside the box. These things, they used to do this all the time, and I really wish that they would bring it back. And that is inside the box lid. You got the box art or the tech spec art, and obviously you see where the shoe is coming from. So you can see the direct lineage between these two right here, and blending within that, there was, you know, stuff about the sneaker inside, the little storytelling and all that stuff. I just think that this is super cool. And it's those little things that Jordan Brand is really lacking. They're really focusing on telling stories that really don't matter. And this is the way that it should be. It's very simple, it's very direct, and it worked. This shoe was dope. Everybody rocked these, whether you were a Jordan Brand fan, whether you were not, and you just saw them on the shelves and you were like, oh, those are cool looking. Oh, they happen to be Jordans. Dope. People were playing in these things left and right. This was a good era for basketball shoes, in my opinion. I thought that this was like just a great time to be a fan of the brand itself. Fast forward about 10 years later, and hybrids are just scoffed at. They're not accepted whatsoever by the general sneaker community. So I would like to know your guys' thoughts on these things. For those of you guys that are actually old enough to remember, do you remember these fondly? Did you think that they were bricks then and maybe they're bricks now? I don't know. Did you play in a pair? If you did, let me know what you thought about them. Again, I thought that they were pretty good. I didn't think that they were amazing, but they were better than, actually I thought that they were better than both the 16 and the 17. And now for all of you new sneaker people, what do you think about these? Are you looking at these like a hybrid, like, man, those things? Or are you looking at these like, yo, I could play in those, or they look cool or whatever? Sound off below and let us know what you guys think about these down below in the comment section. Do you think that they should continue the 0.5 series? Because I would like to see a little bit more, especially if they were like this, where they are performance driven, but with like older materials and stuff like that, because this stuff is still dope to play in. Although these things were hot boxes, but that's, you know, a different subject altogether. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your support. And until next time, guys, have a good one. You're not doing it.
What?
Because
that these look exactly the same?
That's disrespectful.
That's why he likes these, because of that toe.
I like the 16s and the 17s on their own.
But I'm just saying, this is his favorite, and he pulled these out for me to look at, and I was like, it's this shoe, but black.
You know, I like chips, and I like cheese, and I like nachos, but it's not because I like chips and cheese. Is why I like nachos. I just think it tastes good, okay?
It's okay. I just wanted to show you guys this.
Please agree. She's being a jerk right now. She's trying to throw this in my face because everything that's chunky and bulky, she says, looks like the Reebok question.
Look at that toe.
It doesn't.
You talked about how you liked.
This is from middle school.
So?
So? The Jordan Brand didn't bite off of Reebok?
I'm just saying, you said that with the 16s it had a straighter and you didn't like that. And then for the 16.5 they rounded it out. No. This has that. It's okay.
You act like the Question's the only shoe with a round toe.
I've compared other shoes to the Question.
I know, and it makes me mad every time. You don't do that. If you want to get me triggered,
mention your favorite shoe.
No, just say like, oh, they look like these. This shoe, they specifically took aspects from the 16 and the 17.
And sprinkled in some questions.
No, they didn't add the question in there. They didn't add the question in there.
I'm glad that you gave us that little tutorial, because when we started this, I was like, ooh, I didn't look anything up about the 0.5.
What tutorial?
Going through like the 0.5 series. Like
the 0.5 series was amazing.
Well, I knew Jack, so thank you.
You're welcome, and you're welcome.
Was it the 18.5 that you were saying wasn't?
It's not, that and the 1.5, they're both not really 0.5s because they're original shoes.
So I was thinking about that. There's the PG 2.5.
Yes, that is a 0.5 though, because they took the strap from the 1 and put it on the 2.
Which is, then it should have been 1.5 or something.
Yes, but that's semantics. But that's, you know what I'm saying? Because like you can't get a 1.5, well you can, but you'd have to wait for the 2 to release.
Right.
And it would be weird when he only has 2 shoes, so he doesn't have like a history or catalog.
Yeah.
To like be like, we're on the 2, but
we're gonna
take it back a little bit, yeah, and go to the 1.5. So I get the 2.5 scenario. What I don't get is when people are like, do you think there's gonna be a 3.5 with a strap? I'm like, why? The 2 doesn't have a strap.
Right.
The 2.5 has a strap, and that strap's from the 1. So it's gonna be like an amalgam of the 1 through 3. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I don't understand that.
Well, I agree. I think that this shoe is kind of cool looking.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What? What?
Yeah, especially when you look at the 16 and the 17 because
those are an acquired taste. I get it. 'Cause